Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Before we unravel today's story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell, because what I'm about to share with you is more than just a royal real estate update. It's a glimpse into the secret choices shaping the very future of the British monarchy. Now, let me ask you this. What does it mean when a future king refuses to live in a palace? What happens when the heirs to the throne, William and Kate, the Prince and Princess of Wales, turn their backs on Buckingham Palace itself and instead choose a quiet Georgian house tucked deep inside Windsor Great Park? At first glance, it may sound like a simple lifestyle choice, but in reality, it reveals something far bigger, an evolution in how the monarchy sees itself, and perhaps how it hopes to survive in a modern world that no longer worships crowns and castles the way it once did. Picture this. Forest Lodge, an elegant Georgian mansion built in the late 18th century, surrounded by whispering trees and centuries-old lawns. A home with 8 grand bedrooms, walls that have seen royal history unfold, and corridors that carry the faint echo of generations past. The house has belonged to the crown since 1829, and though it was once listed for a modest by royal standards, £15,000 month back in 2001, time has transformed its worth. 2 decades of soaring demand, shifting property laws, and global wealth surging into London's real estate have doubled that figure. Today, experts estimate William and Kate will be paying close to £30,000 a month, nearly £7,000 every single week, to rent the so-called forever home. Yes, you heard that right. The future King of England, instead of moving into the gilded halls of Buckingham Palace, will be renting a king-to-be as a tenant of the crown estate. But why? Why would William and Kate choose this life when palaces stand waiting for them, filled with history, grandeur, and the kind of security most families could never dream of? To understand, we must look closer, not just at Forest Lodge itself, but at William and Kate as people of the lives they have chosen to lead, the battles they have endured, and the monarchy they are trying, perhaps desperately, to reshape. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away, the world mourned not just the loss of a monarch, but the end of an era, a symbol of stability that had endured wars, scandals, and the ever-turning tides of history. In her place rose King Charles III, carrying both the crown and his own private battles, including his widely reported fight with cancer. But alongside him stood William and Kate, no longer just supporting characters in the royal story, but the very embodiment of its future. And yet, their path hasn't been easy. Kate herself has endured her own health struggles, retreating from the spotlight for treatments and recovery. The couple's marriage, though often portrayed as fairy tale perfect, has been tested under the intense glare of public expectation and relentless scrutiny. Add to that the turbulence caused by Harry and Meghan's departure, the cracks it exposed within the royal family, and the shadow of scandals involving other royals, and it becomes clear William and Kate have been living not in the tranquility of palaces, but in the storm of history itself. So perhaps their decision to move to Forest Lodge, away from the gold-trimmed cages of royal tradition, is more than just a move. Perhaps it is an escape, or, better yet, a statement. Think about it. Adelaide Cottage, their current home, was always too small. With just 4 bedrooms, it was hardly a palace fit for the heirs to the throne, though its intimacy suited a young family looking for normalcy. But William has been clear for years. He does not want to live as his ancestors did, locked away in cavernous palaces that symbolize distance and power. He wants something else. Privacy, yes, but also a sense of being ordinary, of being approachable, of living in a house where his children can run to the garden without tripping over history at every step. And yet, is privacy truly possible? Jean Reeve, an 87-year-old woman who will soon be their neighbor, spoke with the voice of wisdom and worry. "I welcome them," she said, "but I hope the public allow them to live quietly as a family. It's a less private spot than their previous home, and they have young children after all. They deserve privacy." Her words echo what many of us wonder: how can William and Kate ever live as normal people when every move they make becomes a headline? Still, the locals seem excited. Some describe the couple as wonderful and good for the country, embracing the idea of a new kind of monarchy, one that is young, family-oriented, and modern. They see in William and Kate a break from the grandeur of the past, a monarchy that prefers family dinners to banquets, school runs to motorcades, and forever homes to palaces. But make no mistake, this new chapter comes with a price. Not just a staggering £30,000 a month rent, which the couple pay privately without dipping into taxpayer money, but the symbolic price of redefining what it means to be royal. If Buckingham Palace is the heart of monarchy, then what does it mean when its future king doesn't want to live there? Is it humility, or is it an unspoken fear that the palace itself, once a symbol of strength, has become a relic of another age? Consider this. Windsor itself has become a magnet for the wealthy. International buyers, locked out of purchases by Britain's punishing stamp duty taxes, have turned to renting, sending prices soaring. Windsor is no longer just a royal sanctuary. It is a battleground of wealth, privacy, and prestige. By choosing to settle here, William and Kate are placing themselves not among courtiers and guards, but among neighbors, real people who can wave across the hedge, who might bump into them at the market, who might watch their children grow up alongside George, Charlotte, and Louis. It's intimate, it's dangerous, and it's deliberate, because William and Kate are not just choosing a home. They are choosing a story that says the monarchy does not need gilded ceilings to survive. A story that insists the crown can live behind Georgian walls, in houses with creaking staircases and gardens filled with birdsong. But is that story enough to protect them from the storm that has already begun to circle? Because even as they plan their quiet life at Forest Lodge, the pressures of the crown do not rest. The media's eyes will follow. The crowds will gather at the gates. And history has shown us time and again that when royals step too close to ordinary life, tragedy or scandal has a way of finding them. So the question becomes, will Forest Lodge be their sanctuary, or will it become their gilded cage, hidden beneath the illusion of freedom? And perhaps the more haunting question is this: what does this decision tell us about the future of the monarchy itself? But before we answer that question, let's step back in time. Forest Lodge is not just a house. It is a survivor of centuries, a Georgian gem built when the British Empire was rising, when kings and queens wielded real power, and when Windsor itself was already the quiet heart of royal life. Since 1829, the property has belonged to the crown, its walls silently bearing witness to shifting dynasties, wars, and the private lives of aristocrats. And yet, what's fascinating is how rarely these walls were associated with the direct heirs of the throne. Palaces, castles, and grand halls, that was where monarchs lived, where they projected their power. For William and Kate to settle here is not just unusual, it is unprecedented. It suggests a deliberate step away from power spectacle and toward something far more elusive, relatability. But relatability comes at a cost. Think of Diana, William's mother. She, too, tried to live as something closer to ordinary, to step into crowds and be seen not as an untouchable princess, but as a human being. And the world adored her for it. But that very accessibility, those very steps toward the people, left her vulnerable to the unforgiving glare of media and, ultimately, to tragedy. William has never forgotten. So as he and Kate prepare to move their children into Forest Lodge, into gardens where their laughter might mingle with the sounds of tourists wandering Windsor Great Park, the question haunts us. Are they walking in Diana's footsteps? And will history treat them more kindly? Consider their neighbors. Not the locals who wave politely, but the invisible ones, the journalists, the paparazzi, the curious who will map out every corner of Windsor Great Park to catch a glimpse of the family. Jean Reed was right when she said it's a less private spot than Adelaide Cottage. And privacy, once lost, cannot be reclaimed. Yet perhaps this is exactly why William and Kate are here. To prove they can live among people, not above them. To forge a monarchy not of marble halls, but of gardens and family dinners. To let George, Charlotte, and Louis grow up with semblance of normalcy, so when George one day becomes king, he does not carry the weight of centuries alone, but instead the memory of childhood bike rides and laughter echoing through Windsor's trees. Still, symbolism cuts both ways. For centuries, Buckingham Palace has been more than a home. It has been the beating heart of the monarchy. The balcony, where kings and queens greet their subjects, is etched into the collective memory of a nation. To reject it as a residence is to reject the crown's very image of permanence. What does it mean when the future king doesn't want to live in the palace? Does it weaken the institution, or does it save it? Royal biographer Ingrid Seward puts it simply: William does not want to live in a huge palace. He has said as much throughout his life. He wants something smaller, something that feels like a home rather than a fortress. And in a way, it is refreshing. It tells the world that monarchy does not need to cling to gilded walls to remain relevant. But it also tells us something else, that William, the boy who grew up under the shadow of Diana's death in the spotlight of relentless media, has no desire to raise his own children in the same suffocating environment. And yet, fate is rarely so generous. Even in Windsor, the eyes of the world will follow them. The whispers will continue. The pressure will only mount. Because Forest Lodge may be a house, but for William and Kate, it will never just be a home. It will be a stage. Think about the timing of this move. The monarchy is at a fragile moment. King Charles, though on the throne, faces health challenges. The Queen is gone. The royal family has been battered by scandals. Andrew's disgrace, Harry and Meghan's dramatic departure, and the divisions that have played out on the world stage. In such a moment, William and Kate represent not just stability, but survival. They are the monarchy's greatest hope of holding the public's trust. And so, every choice they make, including where they live, becomes a message. And the message of Forest Lodge? That the monarchy must change to endure. But change is never smooth. Already, whispers rise. Some say that by paying private rent of £30,000 a month, William and Kate are proving they don't live off the taxpayer. Others say it is absurd for royals to pay rent at all. Why should the heirs to the throne be tenants of the crown estate? Why not simply move into Buckingham Palace, which belongs to the people? In the end, no matter what choice they make, criticism follows. And this is the paradox of modern royalty. They cannot be too grand or they appear out of touch. But they cannot be too ordinary or they risk eroding the mystique that keeps the crown alive. Forest Lodge sits right on this knife's edge. As neighbors prepare to welcome them, we must wonder, how long will that welcome last? At first, it will feel novel. People will speak of bumping into Kate at the market or seeing William walking the dog. But over time, curiosity can sour. Boundaries can be tested. Paparazzi lenses can intrude. And what begins as a quiet family home can quickly become a goldfish bowl, where every window is a screen and every garden path is a public stage. So, will Forest Lodge protect them or betray them? Perhaps the answer lies in the future, not the present. When George becomes king, the story of his childhood home will matter. If Forest Lodge becomes a place of laughter, growth, and safety, it may symbolize a monarchy reborn, rooted not in marble and chandeliers, but in family values. But if the pressures of public life invade, if scandal or tragedy strikes within those Georgian walls, then Forest Lodge may go down in history not as a haven, but as a haunting reminder of how fragile the crown has become. And so we are left with a mystery. The Prince and Princess of Wales are moving into their forever home. But is it truly forever? Or is it merely the next chapter in a monarchy forever caught between the past and the future, the palace and the people, tradition and survival? What we do know is this. William and Kate's choice speaks louder than words. It tells us they did not see themselves as gods upon thrones, but as parents, as a couple, as human beings. And perhaps that is exactly what the monarchy needs to endure. Or perhaps, in stepping too close to ordinary life, they risk losing the very aura that makes royalty matter at all. And that, dear viewers, is where the suspense lies. In Windsor Great Park, beneath the ancient trees and within the Georgian walls of Forest Lodge, the future of the monarchy will quietly unfold. Every laugh of a child, every photograph taken, every decision made behind those walls will ripple outward, shaping the crown's destiny in ways we cannot yet see. So the next time you picture Buckingham Palace, grand and unshakable, remember this. The real story of the monarchy's survival may not be written there. It may be written instead in the quiet gardens of Forest Lodge, where a family tries to live a normal life, while carrying the weight of 1,000 years on their shoulders. The question is, will it work? And with that, I'll leave you with this thought. Perhaps the monarchy's greatest battle isn't against scandal, politics, or even time itself. Perhaps its greatest battle is against its own walls, the palaces that once protected it, but now may be holding it prisoner. What do you think? Is William right to reject Buckingham Palace? Will Forest Lodge be the key to a modern, relatable monarchy, or its undoing? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that take you behind the headlines and into the hidden truths of history. Because here, the past is never really gone, and the future is always closer than we think.